All right, so we're continuing with our proportions. Hopefully you feel good about solving those and what to do. I am obviously ahead of time, so if this date is not the right, don't be. We might have to back it up if we're struggling with solving proportions. So, like I said, don't let this date confuse you. If it's not actually when this is announced. But now we're doing proportion word problems. Again, just like the GCF LCM word problems, this is not something to freak out about because they can be very, very simple as long as you know what to look for. I have attached this handout. Go with the notes today. I really recommend printing it off so that you can write along with me to make things a little bit easier. So, if we're looking at the worksheet, you're going to hear me say the word units a lot. All right, and so what I mean by units is whatever discussing. So whether it is yards, days of the week, years, candy, whatever the specific thing they're talking about, those are the units. And it's important that your units match up. So what I mean by that is if you have candy cane up over here, then candy canes have to go on top over here. Candy canes on top here, but candy on the bottom here. They have to match up and be side by side. Once again, it's a proportion. Thing has to be equivalent. Whatever one side looks like, the other look like too. All right, so that's the really most important thing to pay attention to with proportions. Let's read the first one. So it says Sam raked 3 bags of leaves 16 minutes. He continues to work at the same rate. About how will it take him to rake 5 bags? Now you could solve this as a unit rate question. You could find it rate and then multiply it by 5. But setting up a proportion is a little bit easier to me sometimes. But you can do what you want to do when it comes to take a test. But this is how you would do it to solve a proportion. So you have to do what goes together. So obviously in the question, the bags of leaves goes with the 16 minutes. So that's going to go on one side of your proportion. So it would be 3 bags with 6 tenths. They go together, okay? So then the other part of the question, it says 5 bags. Well, remember I told you that the units have to line up together. So whatever top on one side has to go on top of the other. Since the other unit is 5 bags, 5 bag has to go over here. Because like I said, if bags are on top here, bags have to go on top here. And then the clearly says about how long take. Clearly, I'm missing the time. I don't know how many minutes it is going to take him. So that's what you're okay. We're trying to figure out that. I don't know just yet. So now just out solving everything is specifically. Whatever I get here is going to be the number of minutes it takes him to rake these 5 bags. Now once again, I've told you you can find a quick way to do a proportion. But for this one, there's no quick way to go from 3 to 5. There's no simple connection there. So we have to do a cross multiplying. So we will do a cross multiplying. Okay. So I'm going to take my calculator, and I can try to make sure you can see it, but you can't. Okay, I'm going to do 16 times 5, because remember, it's multiply the ones that you actually know. I can't do 3 times x because there's nothing there to multiply. So I have to do the 2 sides that I actually know. So 16 times 5 gives me 80. So that tells me that both sides need to equal 80. So over here, with my work, I'm going to put, let's scoot this over a little bit. I'm going to put equals 80. So now 3 times x needs to equal 80, because remember, this equals 80 anyway. So I need to do the inverse. So remember, I need to divide. I need to divide by whatever number's left. Well, the only number that's left is 3, because x isn't a number just yet. So I'm going to take 80, divide it by 3, and get 6.666, and it keeps going. The directions at the top do say round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to take this. Here's the tenth spot. So right after it is a 6. This 6 is going to change 6 to a 7. So it would be 26.7 minutes. Okay. So that's all you have to do. The big part of some proportion, making sure your units line up and that everything's in the right spot. And then you, like, solving the proportion is easy. Setting it up might take a little bit more time. But that's the important part. All right, next one. Amy earned $5 after babysitting for 3 hours. If she charges the rate of how much will she make after working for 7 hours? Okay. So clearly my two units are $25 an hour. So dollars and hours are my two units. So it doesn't matter which one goes on top or bottom. You just need to make sure that the two things that go together are together. So like what I mean by that is this $25 clearly is 3 hours. You wouldn't have the $25 way up here and then it going with the 7 hours way down here. That doesn't make sense. $25 and 3 hours go together. And then if you keep reading the question, it says 7 hours. Now remember, your units have to line up. So since I've already put hours down here on the bottom, you have to put your other hour down here on the bottom as well. And then your X, or whatever letter you wanted it to be, would go on top. If you wanted the 3 and 7 on top, totally fine. Just make sure it's on top on both sides. Okay? Once again, we have to solve the proportion now. So I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, so I take my calculator. I'm going to do 25 times 7. I get 175. So on this side, I've got 3 times x equals 175. So now I'm going to divide by the number that I have left. The only number I have left, again, is 3. So I'm going to take 175 divided by. I get 58.333. Remember, it is going to round, but that 3 is not going to change the 3, so it's just going to be 53. And that would be dollars. That changes things a little bit. So since this is money, I'm going to go to the second place, and that would be 33. So it's like 33 cents. All right. Next one. A 2-month membership to the gym cost $125. Sorry, can't see it. Jim would like to be a member for 8 months. What is the total amount he will pay for 8 months? Now this one, don't let it confuse you. It's got 4 numbers, but one of the numbers is the same, so it's being repeated, so don't worry. Just like any other proportion, they give you 3 of the numbers. You have to figure out the 4th one. So let's put what goes together. This 2-month membership goes with the 125. So 125 and then 2 months. Once again, it doesn't matter which one you put on top or bottom. All right, we keep reading the question, and then I see 8 months. Well, does 8 months go on top with the dollars, or does 8 months go on the bottom with the months? Hopefully you know it goes on the bottom with the months. And then we'll have D for dollars. Once again, the letter doesn't matter, the variable doesn't matter. You just need to put something there so that you know that's the spot that's missing. Now, luckily for this one's a nice proportion because there's an easy connection from one side to the other. So what I mean by that is 2 and 8 have a nice connection. What times 2 gives me 8? And hopefully you know that's 4. So if I times the bottom by 4, then you do the exact same thing with the top. You don't have to worry about any cross multiplying or dividing or anything like that. You just find that connection and then you can solve. So now I just need to do 125 times 4, and I get 500. So all I did, I'm putting this in my work, I did 125 times, and I get $500. So what that means is 8 months he's at his gym membership, it would cost $500. All right, next one. Bobby drove 110 miles, and his car used up 5 gallons of gas. For how many miles can he drive with 16 gallons of gas? Okay, so we need to set up this proportion. So once again, 110 miles, his car used 5 gallons. Those are the things that go together. So 110 miles, 5 gallons. And on the other side, we've got 16 gallons. So obviously that's going to go on the bottom with the 5. And then up here, we can put an M for miles. All right, so unfortunately, there's not a nice connection between 5 and 16, so I am going to have to do the cross multiplying and dividing. Okay. Well, what are the two numbers that I actually have? I can't do 5 times M because I don't know what M is just yet, so I have to use the other two numbers. So 110 times 16, and I've got my calculator, is going to give me 1,760. So now I need to do 5 times M equals 1,760. Just divide. Now I get 352. So that's 352 miles. Okay. All right, next one. Last one. Mary ran 2 miles in about 23 minutes. If she continued at the same pace, how long will it take her to run 10 miles? Okay, so let's figure out what goes together. Okay, so I've got this 2 miles in 23 minutes. So miles on top, minutes on the bottom, and the other side, this 10 miles needs to go with the miles, so it has to go on the top. And then down here would be what I'm looking for. This one does have a very nice connection. What times 2 gets me to 10? Hopefully you know that's 5. So I would do the exact same thing down here. So I'm just going to do, let me write it out, 23 times 5 is going to end up giving me 115 minutes. Okay? So that's all we're doing for solving proportions. You're finding those units that go together. You're making sure that the units are side by side. But you're also making sure that what you have on the same side goes together. So remember, like, whatever's in the same sentence together would go on the same side. Okay? So find those units, line them up, and then you can just solve the question like regular.